All right, here is one more sample of transferring. This is using Sublime Stitching's fine tip iron-on transfer pen. Creates an extra fine line, continuous ink flow, multiple imprints. Hooray! So we just trace or draw onto paper and transfer to preheated fabric with a hot dry iron. And it is permanent ink, so this does not iron away like the friction pen does. This is the first time I have tried this, so let's see what it does. Here we go. Sublime Stitching Transfer Pen. All right, I'm just trying to get this so you can read it. All right, let's give it a go. Okay, so we're just going to trace over the existing drawing. Pretty similar like last time. We're just going to follow the line. I'm not being perfect at all here, but you can take your time and trace over. Do the best you can. It does make this really fine line, that's for sure. Okay, we'll just trace through. I'm noticing if I linger too much, it does bleed the paper a little bit, so just bear that in mind. And remember, even if your lines aren't perfect, your stitching is going to cover. Now, the one caveat, and this is the same if you use that Aunt Martha's pencil, in these transfers, when you do an iron on, the fineness of the line is going to matter more when your thread count when you stitch is thinner versus thicker. So for example, if you're only going to use 2 strands of embroidery floss instead of 6 or 4 strands, you want to try and make as thin of a line as you possibly can so that when you stitch, your stitches cover the lines. Because these are permanent lines, you really do want your stitches to cover these lines if possible. Now, when you're doing 4 threads or 6 threads together, they're more likely to cover this thicker line. So I'm just going to finish tracing this out, and then we'll do an iron on and excuse me, and we'll see what the results are. Okay, we've traced it. I'm going to use my ironing board here, my little mini ironing board. I'm going to move this over to the edge here. I'm going to heat up the fabric like they suggest. I'm just going to get that nice and smooth. All right, we're going to face this down. I'm approximately in the middle of my 10-inch square. I don't know if you can see, here's the drawing right in here. All right, let's see what happens. I'm just going to use some light pressure and let it sit for a few seconds. It worked. Ta-da! All right. So that's kind of interesting. Let's look at these together. Right, mirror image. I didn't hold it as long here as I did here, I think. But yeah, this is where he's got a little more of a goblin face now, doesn't he? Okay. But there you get an idea. That's another way to do this. And if I do want to do another, let's see how many. I'm going to put this on the edge here. Let's do another one and see what happens. I want to see how many of these we can get. You're supposed to be able to do multiples, so let's try it. We'll at least get a second one. And it did. Look at that. Looks like there's a little bleed or something happening here. I'm not sure what that is. But it works. Okay, cool. There you go. That's one more way to do it. So you just need to be careful about your tracing. Yeah. So I think where my lines went, I kind of messed up here. And it looks a little distorted. All right. Well, have fun.